It's Saturday the 4th of December. I'm back in The Hague and doing a long run today, about 25 kilometres, 14 to 15 miles it will be. So this is my part of the training programme to build up to a half marathon race. So this is one of the runs that's actually longer than a half marathon. So I'm running south parallel with the beach, and I'm going to head out to Monster, and then I'll turn around in Monster and head back now. Should be about that distance. You see it's very wet, rain. It's quite cool and misty this morning. It's about 5 degrees, but it's suddenly got very wet indeed. This is going to be a wet and rainy one. I helped out with the park run again this morning. I was a marshal this time, so standing on the course and making sure nobody's having problems, checking for cyclists and walkers in the park, but nobody ended up with a coming together, and that seemed to go very well. A bit cold though, it took me ages to warm up after that. Anyway, let's see how this one goes. I'm just almost at Monster now. Just see the direction I've come from is that direction. Very windy. I'm hoping the rain's going to ease up soon. As you can see, the bright stuff is coming on the horizon. It's pretty uneventful. Haven't seen anybody else out, apart from a few cyclists. Isn't surprising on a day like this. Turn the corner at Monster, so I'm now heading back. Really windy, but it's getting dry. See how dark the sky looks. Heading back towards The Hague, so that's what I ran through. It's a bit brighter. I mean, it's been stormy out to sea, so it's still being blown sideways, but at least it's slightly behind me now, the wind. Just on the final bit, coming through the Westduinpark, and just on a walk segment now. I've actually been walking since about 16k because I started feeling twinges in my knees, so I thought I'd take it easy. I don't want to do myself in and then have to spend several days recovering, so I thought better than that I will stop now, keep walking, and hopefully have a shorter recovery off the back of this run. I thought 16k was a pretty fair old run. That's 10 miles, so that's pretty fair. So it's pretty blowy, you can kind of hear the winds, so I'm just hoping that that's 20k up now. Just came through. It's pretty blowy, so I've cut through the woods in the West Dunes in the hope that that was going to be a little less breezy and cold, because I was definitely getting a little bit frozen, and it is much better coming through here. So I've got about 2 kilometres to go, so that'll take me about 20 minutes, something like that, to get back. So yeah, not too bad. A bit disappointing I wasn't able to keep running, but it's better sometimes to be able to walk home than limp home when you're training. This is only training after all. Just a little update on the coronavirus situation. So we're coming into December now. The UK government is still optimistic that Christmas is going to be fine, but they said that last year and then had to shut down. So they're really winging it out. The infections have gone up again in the last couple of days, up above 50,000 again. So I'm not sure whether that's going to get sustained or whether it's going to come down to the 40,000 mark, which it's been at for some time. The Dutch rate is up at still around 22,000 a day, which given the smaller population is infection rate twice as high as the UK, but they've also pretty much reached their testing capacity, so it's a little bit difficult to tell. It's been at that level for about a week and a half now, so I'm not sure whether we're over the peak or whether that's still increasing. So the big concern is the Omicron variant that was first identified in South Africa, but there's the booster campaigns are coming in now. The UK's well underway, the Dutch are a bit slow in getting started again, a bit like they were with the vaccination programme the first time around. That's starting to get going. I don't think they're trying to clear the over 60s first, so I don't think the under 60s will get a look in until January time. And then there's certain governments in Europe that are starting to, I've already mentioned, people like the German government in certain regions, and the Austrian government are starting to restrict people who are not vaccinated, and that testing, having a negative test, isn't sufficient to go into restaurants and things like that. Well, France are now saying the Janssen vaccination, which was a single jab, the Johnson & Johnson market, is not going to be sufficient after the 15th of December, so in just under 2 weeks time. So basically the Janssen people, if they want to carry on going into restaurants and things like that in France, they're going to have to get a booster. I haven't seen any, that's typically affects people in their early 50s here in the Netherlands and people in their 40s, because they heavily use Janssen here because it's partly a Dutch product. They heavily used it here, so it does affect quite a big part of the population. Probably those who like to go skiing, so if they want to go skiing in France this winter, then they're going to have to get a booster. So anyway, that's a quick update. So hoping things will calm down. We're still in measures here. Shops all closing, restaurants, everything closes at 5, just the supermarkets stay open until 8. So hoping those measures are going to start to bite. And we're 2 weeks into that now, so we'll see whether that hopefully starts to have a bit of an effect on the infection rate in the next couple of weeks.